All right, I'm reviewing the reteaching pages. The first part, it's page 103 and 104 for topic 2. The first set reviews mental math using compatible numbers and community property of addition to change the order of adding things. So I would probably, if I'm using mental math, I would probably stick these two guys together because I know 6/10 and 4/10 equals a 1. So 8.6 plus 1.4 would equal a whole number 10. 23.4 plus 10 equals uh, 30, or 23.4 plus 10 equals 33.4. So that's how I would do it mentally. If you need to use pencil paper, that's fine. So I use the associative property by grouping 8.6 and 1.4 in my head to make the whole number 10, and then just adding that to 23.4. For the second one, I would probably round 9.9 up to the whole number 10. So I would say 27 minus 10 is 17. And I rounded up 1/10, so I'm going to have to add the 1/10 back in. If you do that pencil paper, 17.1. 13.5 plus 5.7 plus 36.5. I would probably put these two guys together because I know 5/10 and 5/10 equals 1. So, and I also know 37 plus 13 would equal 50. And then I would just have to add the 5.57. So I would get 55.7. And if that all sounds like Chinese to you, or some other hard to learn language, just do it old school, pencil paper, line up by decimals, and add. Some of you are probably not ready to do a lot of this mental math, but you can give it a try. 205 and 4/10 minus 99.7. I'd probably round that up to 100. So that's using compatible numbers because I know I can do this in my head. 205.4 plus 100 would be 305.4. But I know I rounded it up 3/10. So I'm going to have to add that 3/10 back in. I rounded this up 3/10. So I'm going to have 30. Oh, I'm subtracting here. Sorry, that doesn't help. 105.4. So when I round that, I'm going to have 105.7. Watch your sign. I made that mistake. Teachers make mistakes too. Oops. All right. If you need to do it old school pencil paper, perfectly fine. Make sure you're lining up decimals and annexing zeros, so you have the same number of place values. Oh, my pen is not being happy today. Okay, let's get back over there. All right. Set B, page 65 to 70. We're estimating and using compatible numbers. Compatible numbers can give a different estimate than rounding. So estimate each sum or difference. So my task is to estimate, and using compatible numbers, you can have answers that are different than me, but make sure it's close. So I could say, I could round that to 300, and maybe I'll leave that at 358. So rounded, I would say my answer would be around 658. Some people might round the first value to 400, the second value to 300, and you might get 700. I like my answer better because it's closer to the actual answer, but this one's fine too. 15 and 100ths minus 4.4. I might round that 15 minus 4 equals 11. That's pretty good. Close enough. 80 and 100th plus 2 and 89 hundredths. So maybe I'll leave the 80. Some of you could probably round that. You could actually solve that right in your head. 82.90. You could actually do that mentally in your head. If you're rounding, you could say 80 plus, 3 is 83. 25,003 minus 12,900. You could do, if you're looking for compatible numbers and you want something that's even, I changed the 25 to 24 because I know 24 is a multiple of 12. You could do that. You could leave 25,000 as 25,000 and subtract 13,000. If you know that 25 minus 13 is 12, you can do it that way. Just want to get close to the actual answer and make sure you're doing the right sign. Make sure you're using subtraction or addition. So, set C, pages 71 to 76, using the hundredths grid to add the decimals. And again, if you don't choose not to use that tool, that's fine. You can just add stuff off to the side. Perfectly fine with that. 89 and 89 hundredths and 2 hundredths adds up, lining up place value, 91 hundredths. 0.67 minus 0.31. The original green shade was 0.67, and then they X'd out 0.31 to get what we have left in the green is 36. And again, you can do this old school, just line up and add, or you can use the grid model here. Whatever way you want to do it. Always remember, you can check your work on a calculator. Make sure your answer looks reasonable. Use some of those mental math strategies. And let's see if I can move this down. Yep, there we go. So down to set D. Remember to annex 0 so that each place has a digit and all the decimal points line up. So basically here we're just doing old school adding and subtracting. So when you add up, lining up in place value, 7 point, and you want to do this on a piece of loose leaf paper, number your work. You can write set D, number 1. Some of your parents might want to check your work and make sure you're not just doing it on a calculator and turning it in. That's not going to help you in a test situation. Make sure you're lining up decimals. This guy, you're going to have to annex a 0 up here so you can subtract. And number 3, again, subtraction, annexing zeros. Remember lining everything up. I know it looks silly, but when you annex a 0, it's not silly anymore. And that does look silly because I wrote the wrong number. Get that in there. 51. And we are subtracting. We're going to regroup. $9.17. I have to regroup. 23.9. It's supposed to be a 9 there. 17. And then the last one, or no, number 4. 8.71 minus 0.4 annex a 0. Funny how some of them are so fast and other ones take a lot of work. Number 9, 98.00. And I annex 2 zeros there because I can see the second value goes to the hundredths place. 101.79. Talia measured 2 strings. The green string was 2.37 centimeters long. The blue string was 4 centimeters long. How many centimeters longer was the blue string than the green string? So in your notebook, we're going to do some subtraction here. I annex zeros because there was nothing there and I can't subtract with nothing there. So I need to absolutely have to throw some zeros in there. So it's 1.63 centimeters. Almost done. And they give you some good models over here for you to look at. So I like the Reteach pages. It gives you a quick little review of the lesson to remind you what to do. And it also gives you the page numbers the lessons are on. So if you're still like, oh my gosh, I do not remember this, I do not understand it, you can always go back into the page numbers and review the lesson. And the last question is the problem solving. Remember, a good model clearly shows the quantities in the problems related. And Alberto ran 15.6 kilometers on Monday, 12.8 kilometers on Tuesday, and 6.5 kilometers on Wednesday. Dennis ran 11.25 kilometers on Monday, 14.6 kilometers on Tuesday and 8 kilometers on Wednesday. Who ran farther? How much farther? And what do you need to find before you can solve the problem? You need to find the totals for both. The totals for both. Find the totals for both of them, and then write equations to model the problem, then solve the problem. So Alberto, I'm going to put him as an A, 15.6 plus 12.8 plus 6.5. And Dennis is 11.25 plus 14.6 plus 8. That's called an equation. It's using numbers and symbols, and an operation in this case is addition. We add them all up. Add these all up. Do it on a piece of paper. Make sure you have everything all lined up. And then the last part is we're going to have to do, to solve the problem, we're going to have to take Alberto and subtract out Dennis to find the difference, because we're looking for who ran farther. So we need the difference. Let me subtract that out. And you say that Alberto ran 1 5/100 kilometer farther than Dennis. So that's our review.